I was born in Leipzig, Germany.
What brought you to the United States?
My husband.
Ah.
We met in England. He was a GI. He decided to see what England was like under a Labour government. And he went to the London School of Economics, where I was an undergraduate, and that's where we met.
And had you grown up in Germany before you went to London?
Yes.
What was your early history before you got to university?
Well, it was persecution of the Jews. That's basically what I remember. And that suddenly we were no longer allowed to go to swimming pools or do certain things, and it got worse and worse, and fortunately was able to get out.
When did your family leave Germany?
1939, just before the war.
And where did you go?
London.
Now, what was that like, to have moved from a childhood in Germany to then be in London at that time of history?
It was very, very easy for us children. But, you know, we had to sort of look out for our parents, translate for them, and so forth.
Were you able to speak English at the time that you emigrated to London?
Well, I had 2 years of English at school, but you know, that didn't mean very much. But as children, I had no problem, just became fluent in English very quickly.
Where did you go to school when you went to London?
The first school I went to, the children left at 14 to become housemaids. The second school I went to, they left at 16 to become shorthand typists. And finally, the last school I went to was a university-oriented school, and from there I went to college.
Now, what was your field of study at LSE?
International relations.
During your university days, did you become interested in law?
No.
So when did that start?
It started because after I graduated, I found it wasn't really easy to get a decent job with an undergraduate degree from the London School of Economics. So by that time I was married and he was going to law school, so I thought I might as well too.
Why was it that you were coming to the States rather than staying in London?
Well, he was an American citizen.
Did you have any difficulty as a refugee from Germany being able to enter the United States at that time?
No.
Describe what it was like to start at law school.
Very easy.
Now, were there other women in your class?
Yes, there were about 5 or 6 of them.
What year were you in at Yale Law School?
I was 48 to 52. We took a year off at one point.
Now, what was it like then to be one of 5 women in a class?
Very easy. I mean, I always found university and studying and all that very easy. And because I was married at the time, I do remember one fellow student saying to me, "I know why the other women are here. They're here to look for a husband, but you're already married, so why are you here?"
And what did you say?
I don't remember.
Did you join any extracurricular activities like law review or volunteer work?
I did a little bit of volunteer work at the Legal Aid Society. I was eligible for law review, but decided not to go for it.
So when you finished law school, did you take the bar exam?
Yes.
Which bar did you take?
Connecticut bar.
And what was that like?
Easy.
What was your first legal job?
I took a job only because I didn't become pregnant immediately, which I wanted to. So I did take my first job at the National Labor Relations Board and quit as soon as I became pregnant.
Now, where was that job?
Washington, D.C.
And what was your job at the NLRB?
Basically brief writing. I was scheduled to do an oral argument, but for some reason it was canceled, and I was glad because I was terrified of the idea of actually standing up and talking to her in front of a judge.
You mentioned that at some point you then joined a law firm run by a friend.
When I was getting ready to work part-time, I went to him and he gave me the job.
Now, who was that?
Arthur Sachs.
Would you describe who Arthur Sachs was in the New Haven legal community?
Well, he was prominent, that's about all I can say.
And what kind of a law firm was it?
Just general practice of law, not criminal work.
Civil work?
Yeah.
And
estate planning, a lot of it. I did estate planning mostly.
now, how did you come to concentrate on estate planning?
I took time off in the summer, and every other third year when my husband was on academic leave, and my friend Arthur Sachs said, well, that's one thing, clients are never in a hurry to do their wills, so that's a good field for you to go into. And that was true.
Let's talk about that, what everybody calls the work-life balance. How did you manage that with, you had 2 children?
4.
4 children, okay, and you were working part-time?
Yeah.
And describe how that was when the children were small.
Well, I just, if they were sick, I didn't go to work. Of course, my husband was very cooperative, otherwise it wouldn't have worked.
What was he doing while you were raising your family?
He was teaching.
At Yale Law School,
Yeah.
right. I know that he was a co-author in a very famous book about Beyond the Best Interest of the Child.
And before the best interests, and in the best interest, yeah.
And did you have any role in that that book?
Yeah, I did all the typing, and I also, helped with the research. Had very much had a role.
Well, tell us about that.
He was working family law, and we worked with Anna Freud in London and co-authored with her, and that was very exciting for me, sitting in a room where Sigmund Freud had worked, and my God, what am I doing here?
Now, in addition to helping with the books Beyond the Best Interest of the Child, you wrote another book, didn't you, on your own, about children and divorce?
Yes.
All right.
Divorce and Your Child.
Divorce and Your Child.
Yeah.
Now, what led you to write that book?
I think just a general interest in family law.
There was also something called Red Channels. What was that?
Red Channels, that was a persecution under McCarthy of people allegedly working with communists. And I think we did a paper on that, or a book. It was a very bad period in American history where people had to take loyalty oaths.
Well, let me ask you one sort of final question. What importance did the law have in your life?
To me, coming to a new country made me feel right at home immediately. Like I think I said before, I felt more at home in America after 1 month than in England after 8 years, because everybody else was new and we all shared the same goal. So that's basically what I remember.